Welcome to Predator Radio, your exclusive podcast channel for everything predator hunting related. Predator Radio is brought to us today by our sponsor, Predator Precision. Predator Precision offers a full line of thermal and night vision optics, as well as thermal accessories. Check them out on the web at www.predatorprecision.com.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Predator Radio. This is going to be episode 1 of season 2. So we've taken a year off and we're ramping things back up for season 2. Last year was really busy. There were some things that came out on social media where there's some interviews going on with some really good people that we didn't want to kind of bother them twice. So we're rolling back into season 2. Today we have Travis Millard, one of the probably best taxidermists here in our area. And he's going to go through what we need to know from a predator hunting standpoint. He's going to go through kind of getting us up to speed on taxidermy in general, and then specifically what I wanted to cover, and I've really picked his brain on, is when we get something that we want to mount, what can we do as hunters in the field to make sure it looks the best by the time he's done with it. So, Travis, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you got here and how you got here and all that? You got some really cool stuff. For the people that are watching this on video, I know this is completely useless for a podcast, but trust me, we're sitting in Travis's shop with some really cool stuff around here. We got a bobcat over here that we're going to get on B-roll video for you guys. Travis is a pretty well accomplished trapper as well. And we're going to have an episode coming up on trapping as well, picking his brain on that. But take it away.
Yeah. So like Jeff said, my name is Travis Millard. I own and operate Travis Millard Custom Taxidermy here in Southwest Ohio. I'm the current president of the Ohio Taxidermist Association, which I'm very proud to be a part of. A great team of taxidermists help promote that in our state. So I've been doing taxidermy since I was 18 years old. I started in my dad's garage like a lot of other taxidermists out there. So I graduated from that to taking friends' stuff on and kind of turned it to a business. I worked full time, for years at a steel mill and done taxidermy as well. So I've been doing this now, like I said, since I was 18. I'm 46 years old now, so I've been doing taxidermy, literally more than half my life. So I've competed at multiple different state championships, the world championship and the national championship, against some of the best that this whole country and, the world has to offer. And I've done okay. I've not won major awards at those levels yet. I did this year a couple major awards, but I love the taxidermy industry. I love helping promote it, talking to guys like Jeff about how the hunters can bring stuff into me in better condition. Because what happens in the field, when you shoot an animal, preparation for a great mount on your wall has to start immediately. And when I say immediately, from the time the shot goes off, from the time you make that shot, you need to be thinking, okay, I got to give that deer time, or I got to give that coyote time. I gut shot him or whatever, but you got to recover him to the point that the hide's not slipping and things like that. So, but if you make a clean shot on a coyote and you knock him off his feet, so right then you need to be thinking, man, if this is a black-faced coyote or a really colorful coyote, or your first coyote, guys out there just getting started, I have a lot of first coyotes come in, because that's a very successful thing to get out and hunt these ultimate predators like that. So when you shoot that coyote, coyotes will green inside the pelt fairly quick. Like Jeff stated, I'm a very skilled trapper. I've done trapping my whole life. I grew up in a trapping family. So what I used to see is if I'd go out and catch 15 coyotes in one day, by the time I'd get done with my trap line and get back to my skinning shed, well, you peel the first coyote of the morning down, he's already starting to turn green. You know, it's, bad. You know, from the different, I don't know if it's there's the rancid things that they eat, and the enzymes in their body breaks them down quick, but they do, you know, slip quicker than most animals. So,
and when you say slip,
slip would be if the hair's not connected to the under tissue of that hide. Like you can grab it with your fingers, pull very easy, and you get a whole big patch of hair comes off and leaves a bald spot in the skin back. The chances of that going through the tannery and making a good mount is very slim at that point. So,
and then does temperature, I know most people, if they're wanting something mounted for fur, we're going to try to get it in the fur season. I'm going to have you kind of go through a timeline and when those seasons and when you see the best fur. But if somebody wanted something that they got in the summer, it's not going to have prime fur.
Right.
But that's all going to be sped up, right?
Yes.
So how quick it slips and starts to go bad is pretty much only dependent on time and temperature, right?
I almost never suggest someone to mount a summertime animal. You know,
it's just not worth it.
Obviously, predator control needs to go on 365. The predators can outwit us big time as far as that goes. But if you want the best looking mount on your wall that you're going to get, it's going to come with prime fur from the months of November through I'm going to say mid-January, because in the later portions of January, I'm sure you've seen it where they start rubbing. Yep. They start getting those rub marks. The breeding season's kicking in big time, at least in our area, you know. So, you'll have a coyote that it's got a lot of rub in it and stuff, and they just don't make a good life-size mount. Where if you kill a coyote in end of November, he's as prime as he's going to get. And under fur, when we go through and we back brush and blow dry and shampoo and fluff that thing out to better, he literally will look better than he ever did in the wild.
Right. Right.
So with that being said, keep it in mind if you're looking to have a coyote mounted or a bobcat mounted, hunt those prime times, for that mounter.
When the fur's going to look the best.
Yes, when the fur looks the best.
Okay. And fur season, and correct me if I'm wrong, when that prime fur starts to come in, I was told that that's not based on calendar or temperature. Well, I guess it is based on calendar. I always thought if it got colder earlier, prime fur started sooner, but I was told it's based off moon phase.
Yes, it can be. Yeah, I've heard that as well.
So I guess it is a calendar time.
And, Mother Nature has a way of protecting all of its own animals, you as a taxidermist, when I'm skinning things, I can take deer in mid-October and just about tell you what kind of bad winter we're going to have, because their fat reserves are different than other years. And so there's things taxidermists see on the inside of things that it's just amazing how nature takes care of itself that way. If they know there's a bad winter coming, the fat reserves inside are usually thicker and the furs are thicker. And, that's why your Alaskan furs, like your Alaskan red fox, is going to look way more plump and fluffier than any other red fox in this area or in the eastern states, because, it's got to survive that brutal winter that Alaska dishes out,
So I don't know anything about deer hunting, since I'm only a predator hunter.
Right.
But just out of curiosity, like, you've got some really cool deer here. Is that the same type phase? I mean, I know they have such a short season. Mm-hmm. Is anything in the deer season, without getting too off track, is anything in deer season going to be good for?
Yeah, pretty much. Now, even some of your really early season deer, the cape will have a little bit of summer hair in it. I know for podcasts they won't see, but on the video segment, a deer like this one here has got a lot shorter hair, makes a real, more detailed mount. Okay. And then the later in the season you get, You'll have deer that has longer hair. You know, they're protecting themselves for the winter. But yeah, anything in season, and most of your states are protecting with seasons. They're protecting, you know, birth times and things like that too. So, but yeah. I mean, and field care is number one when it comes to getting a good taxidermy mount.
Right. Okay. So let's walk through. It's the beginning of December. And what starts the process? What can we be doing from that point all the way through, like when you're mounting it?
Okay. So you just shot a coyote with a rifle. Let's say it's your first black phase coyote, and you know, they're rare. I've trapped hundreds of coyotes and never turned one myself, so it'd be something special to me. So really, before you go make your next set, and I know you guys do lots of sets through a night, setting up on hunts. If that's an animal that you're going to have mounted, stop your sets for the night right then and go get him either in a freezer if possible. That's always your best option. Do not gut it. Do not drag it. You know, tough it out, carry that thing, tie shoestring on its feet. I'm sure you guys got tools for carrying them.
Drags, yeah. But get it off the ground.
Get it off the ground. Don't drag that animal on the ground. Keep as much blood off of the cape after the shot that you can. And when I say the cape, I'm talking about the whole animal, the fur. So if possible, you know, say you got a neck shot, put a trash bag around its head and, you know, and contain that blood to that section so it doesn't get on the rest of it. Okay. There's multiple different ways, but getting him cold, do not gut it. I have guys, you wouldn't believe the guys I have call me and say, hey, I want to get this coyote mounted and I already gutted it. There is zero need for you to gut a coyote. You know, you don't need to do that. First off, I'm sure it's very nasty to do.
Yeah.
And when I skin them, the entrails will stay intact, so I won't even get into that section anyhow. So it's just an incision that doesn't need to be made. Okay. So don't gut it. Keep it as clean as possible. Don't drag it. And then get him cold. If a freezer's not available, maybe a Yeti cooler with ice on the bottom. And I want to tread lightly when I talk about ice, because so many hunters will bring capes into me that, oh, I've got him packed in ice. Well, that water on that cape is your enemy. So you want to keep the moisture out of that cape. You want to keep him cold, but you don't want to add the moisture.
Cold and dry.
Yeah. So triple bag the coyote in heavy duty trash bags. Even carry them in your truck when you're coyote hunting for, you know, this scenario. Triple bag that thing, roll him up tight, duct tape the bag closed tight, then add the ice to where you ensure, I'm keeping him really cold, but I'm keeping him dry. So that's a positive for the taxidermist. If at all possible, straight in a deep freezer. That's your best. Deep freezing. I provide an outdoor deep freezer for customers to drop off at any time of night. Like, say, Jeff Turner, he's out coyote hunting. He calls me, hey, I shot this real rare looking coyote. Well, it's 2:30 in the morning, Jeff.
Right.
I give him the code to my freezer. He can drop that in my outdoor drop off.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, and a lot of your taxidermists out there, you know, I'm talking specifically me, but do your homework on your taxidermists, you know. Call them up prior to going on that hunt. Ask them these questions to refresh your memory. Hey, if I get this coyote and I'm really trying, I've bought my scopes and I've bought my gun and I'm really into this predator hunting, and I've been listening to Jeff Turner's podcast and I'm really getting into this thing. And if I kill a coyote, what should I do? And that taxidermist should have the knowledge to go over that with you and educate you on that. So.
Okay. So once you get them in here, one thing I always have a question on is how bad blown apart how much can you fix?
We can fix.
Like we talk about fur friendly.
Yeah.
And I know like my daytime gun, I use a 22 Nosler. It's fairly fur friendly.
Right.
Nighttime, which is what I primarily do, I'm running a 6 Creed.
Right.
And it's not quite as fur friendly. It all depends. Good shot placement is fur friendly.
Yeah.
Poor shot placement blows out And how much, at what point should somebody say, man, this is just not one to send to the taxidermist?
Right.
Like, how much can you fix?
Some holes are fixable, and on furred animals, it's easier than, say, an animal that has the hair like a deer, and, the fur is a lot fluffier. You can hide underneath and then fluff that hair over and maybe not see it. If you're blowing big holes in it, think about like a pedestal mount, like a shoulder pedestal.
So just change the type of mount.
Yeah, you can still say you hit one behind the shoulder and exit sides back last rib and it blew volleyball size hole in him. You don't want to life size mount that. But if it is your first black coyote or off phase coyote or your first coyote period, you don't have to sacrifice not getting him mounted.
Okay.
Or you could just do a different style mount. There's a lot of cool pedestal mounts available, shoulder pedestals. The creativity in taxidermy is sky's the limit nowadays. Just like everything else, it's just come so far. But and then wall hangers too. I do a lot of just soft tan wall hangers for guys.
Okay.
And that's doable too, because even if it's something that's got a big hole in it, you can have the whole thing soft tanned and then stitch it up from the inside. And it might be a little bit of a scar there or whatever that would be really bad on a mount, but where it's just hanging on the wall as a display in your man cave or cabin or whatever, it'd look phenomenal,
Okay. So basically, if it's all blown to pieces, they can just kind of choose a different style mount.
Absolutely.
I know when I had had a neat color phase when done. And when I did it, I looked through the catalog to get ideas of what I want, because I wanted an open mouth mount. So it's kind of neat. Hopefully your taxidermist has something you can look through, or looking through the catalog really helped me.
And Google's your friend too.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I tell guys a lot to go on Google and then click images and then just type in the mount you're looking for, like coyote shoulder mount or coyote life size. And you'll look at pictures all day. Like there's so many different pictures out there. Well, if you see something you like that somebody else has had done, screenshot it, take it to your taxidermist, say, hey, I really like this here that I found. And what I found is 99% of the time, by looking at that picture, I can tell you what manufacturer made that form and whether or not it's going to fit your coyote or not, Gotcha. So do use the internet as your friend on that stuff too.
So what kind of time do you have in mounting a coyote, and what should people look for when they want to have one mounted? Okay,
so we talked about the time frames of killing them in the prime fur, and then as far as
the time wise, like your labor time.
What I'm gonna have in it, like I offer about a 10 to 12 month return on average on all my stuff that comes in. A lot of that is determined by tannery time. Some taxidermists tan their own. I send mine out to a commercial tannery. Either can be great. Like I know guys, Abel Everidge out of Indiana, one of the best predator taxidermists in the country. He tans his own stuff and does a great job. I send mine out and have them tanned and do a great job too. But so the both of them are okay, but a lot of my leeway time is determined by how long it takes to get it back from the tannery. So, but and then as far as mounting one, depending on if it's a shoulder mount or a life size mount, like I got a coyote to do now that's a life size mount that the guy also had a squirrel he wants the coyote holding in its mouth. And in all honesty, that one's taken me quite a while because there's a lot going on in that project. Gotcha. I got a bobcat that a guy wants mounted, custom pose reacting, but then he's got a diamondback rattlesnake he got at the same time in Texas, and he wants that diamondback striking at the bobcat. Okay. So, when you get really custom pieces like that going, it's going to take your taxidermist some time, Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else you can think of that people need to be aware of from a taxidermy standpoint? Like us in the field, or at least me, not knowing much about taxidermy, is there anything else that we should be considering?
I will touch on legalities. So if you go out of state and you want to go, say Jeff Turner wants to go to Missouri and bobcat hunt, you know, don't just take a trip out to your uncle's farm in Missouri and shoot a bobcat and then
drag it back here.
bring it back here, because I can't receive that animal from you if it's not legally tagged, legally harvested. You got to show me your hunting license from that state that you harvested it in. It needs to have a CITES tag placed by the DNR. I've trapped cats out in, Missouri, and, you got to call the county's game warden that you caught it in, schedule a time with him, meet him, and then he puts a plastic CITES tag through the eye, down through the jaw, and locks that, clip on there. And a very easy process to do. The Missouri DNR was great to talk to.
Does that mess up your mount when they do that?
No, and they've been trained to go inside the eye socket, come out through the upper mouth, to where if that person does want to have a mount, it's part that's got to be skinned out anyhow. Okay. So for transport, don't get in trouble with the simplicity of just doing it legal. And that is something that will affect us here, because if you walk through the door and you say, hey, I got this bobcat, I just went out to my uncle's place and shot this bobcat in Missouri. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is look at the animal, see if it's worthy of a mount. And then my first question would be, well, where's the CITES tag? If that guy doesn't have that, he's got to leave. Like I can't even have it in my shop. So yeah, that's something as a hunter you want to keep in mind. If you're predator hunting, I know a lot of states it's open season on coyotes, stuff like that. But if you're, say, in Missouri and all you have to have is a fur taker permit and a hunting license to coyote hunt, oh man, there's a cat. Well, make sure that you're legal to shoot that before you do. And then once you do everything you got to do to make it legal to bring it to me,
Yeah, you don't want to go through all that effort for nothing,
right.
Especially drag it back here. Well, if there's not anything else you can think of, I appreciate your time for it. If somebody happens to be, I know we got a lot of people in the Southwest Ohio area. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
So my shop, I have Travis Millard Custom Taxidermy on Facebook, has all my information. Telephone number is 937-416-9126. And text messages are great. Sometimes I do try to get in a tree stand myself and hunt a little bit. But the southwest part of the state I cover. I do a lot of work from the southeastern part of the state. I have my own farm over there, so I do a lot of work for that area also. And then get on in Ohio would be the Ohio Taxidermy Association, the OTA. Get on their page, research different taxidermists that would be in your area. If you're northern part of the state, there's quality taxidermists all over the state, and that would do a fine job for them too.
Well, that was going to be one of my next questions. You kind of led right into is being with the president of the Ohio Taxidermy Association. What's the advantage to being part of a group like that? Like, you guys have a conference.
Yeah.
I know I did a seminar at your one conference. Was it your state?
Yeah, our state championship.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what's some advantages to being part of either the Ohio Taxidermy Association or whatever your state's? I mean, that's a good network,
right,
to be a part of. I think.
And part of the advantage to being part of your taxidermy association is, so I network with lots of taxidermists. I have, if a guy calls me, hey Travis, I killed this coyote. Do you want to take it in? Well, right now I'm kind of booked, but what area are you in? Well, if I know the area they're in, I can send them, to a quality taxidermist, So I know a lot of taxidermists throughout the state.
Okay. So, well, I really appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
Thanks a bunch.
You,
Thanks for being on. And if you guys want to look them up on social media. Don't forget to follow the Facebook page, and we're on Instagram now. As well as our podcast can be listened to directly from the website. And then lastly, don't forget to support our sponsors, Thermal Optics Plus, MFK Game Calls, and DNA Firearms. All do a really good job of helping us out through Predator Precision, which is what pays the bills for Predator Radio. And those guys really bend over backwards to help us. So be sure and support those guys.